Before midnight tonight, I'm waiting for one phone call. Just one. And if it doesn't come, I don't know what I'll do with the rest of my life. My hands are shaking as I say that. I'm 74 years old, sitting alone in a dark house, listening to the clock breathe like it knows something I don't. Why has no one called yet? And why am I afraid of the answer? My name doesn't matter as much as my voice does right now. Listen to it. Hear how it trembles. I'm speaking directly to you because you're the only one here with me. Outside, rain is tapping on the windows like impatient fingers. Inside, the lights are low, just one lamp, one candle, and this phone on the table in front of me. I keep staring at it as if I can will it to ring. Every New Year's Eve used to sound different in this house. Laughter. Footsteps. Doors opening and closing. Tonight, there's only silence and memory. I've placed the phone right here, next to an old photograph. You can't see it, but I can. A younger version of me, smiling too wide, holding someone's hand just out of frame. That hand belongs to the person I'm waiting for. I told myself all day that I wouldn't be afraid. I cleaned the living room slowly, like I was preparing for a guest who might never arrive. I unlocked rooms I haven't entered in years. I even opened the hallway closet, the one with the cracked floorboard, the one that still smells like dust and secrets. Every step echoed. Every echo felt like a whisper. You see, this phone call isn't just a call. It's a promise. A promise made long ago on a night just like this, when fireworks covered the sky and someone leaned close to my ear and said, "If everything falls apart, I'll call you before the year ends." No matter what. I believed that promise. I built my life around it. The clock just ticked louder. Did you hear that? Or is it only loud in my head? I keep checking the screen even though it hasn't lit up once. No missed calls. No messages. Nothing. The silence feels intentional, like it's waiting to hurt me at the right moment. Sometimes I swear I hear footsteps in the hallway, slow and careful, stopping right outside the locked room at the end. That room hasn't been opened since the night everything broke. I want to tell you the truth, but the truth comes in pieces. Like the diary hidden in that room. Like the letters tied with a faded red ribbon. Like the shadow I saw last night move across the wall when I was sure I was alone. Let me ask you something and answer me honestly in the comments. Have you ever waited for a call that could change everything, knowing silence itself might be the answer? And if this story is already pulling at your heart, please like it, share it with someone who understands waiting, and subscribe, because I need you here with me until the end. Thank you. I can breathe again for a second. When I was younger, I hated phones. Now I hate what they don't do. I hate that it hasn't rung. I hate that every vibration I imagine turns out to be nothing. My fingers keep hovering over it, but I promised myself I wouldn't call first. If I do, it means the promise is already broken. The rain is heavier now. It reminds me of another night, decades ago, when rain washed the chalk drawings off the sidewalk and washed someone out of my life. That was the night the locked room became locked. That was the night I learned some secrets don't stay buried quietly. There's a diary in that room. Leather cover. Pages swollen from tears or maybe water. I don't remember which. I haven't opened it in years, but tonight I feel it pulling at me. Like it wants to remind me why this call matters so much. Why this new year isn't just another year ending but a deadline. I stand up slowly. My knees protest. The floor creaks under my weight, especially near that cracked board. I pause listening. For a moment, I'm sure I hear breathing that isn't mine. My heart jumps. I tell myself it's the house settling, old like me, full of noises that don't mean anything. But deep down I know better. I sit back down. I can't go in there yet. Not before the call. The clock says 11:42. 18 minutes left. I whisper a name I haven't said out loud in years. The candle flickers like it heard me. Shadows stretch along the wall, long and thin, pointing toward the hallway. Toward the room. Toward the truth I've been avoiding. Why tonight? Why now? Because this is the last night the promise can be kept. Because if the phone doesn't ring, I'll finally have to accept that some people don't come back. And some sins don't get forgiven. The phone suddenly makes a soft sound. Not a ring, just a tiny click as the screen lights up for half a second. My breath catches. My heart feels like it might tear itself apart. But it goes dark again. False hope hurts worse than nothing at all. I pick up the phone, holding it with both hands like it's fragile, like it might shatter if I squeeze too hard. Please, I whisper, and I don't know who I'm begging anymore. The clock keeps moving. And somewhere in this house, something is waiting with me. The clock moves like it's dragging something heavy behind it. 11:43. Each second feels deliberate, cruel. I lower the phone back onto the table, but I don't let go right away. My palm stays pressed against it, warm against cold glass, as if my touch alone could remind it what it's supposed to do. Ring. Just ring. I'm still talking to you because silence gets dangerous when you're my age. Silence invites memories to walk around freely, and mine don't ask permission. They open drawers. They step into locked rooms. They whisper things I worked hard to forget. I stand up again, slower this time. My shadow stretches across the wall, thin and bent, barely recognizable as me. The candlelight makes it tremble, and for a moment I think there are two shadows instead of one. I blink hard until only mine remains. Or maybe I just convince myself it does. The hallway looks longer than it should. Old houses do that. They grow when you're afraid. Every picture frame along the wall feels like an eye watching me pass. Family photos. Smiles frozen in time. Some faces scratched slightly accidentally, I always said. But accidents don't usually happen in the same place over and over. I stop in front of the locked room. You need to understand something. This room isn't locked because I lost the key. It's locked because I didn't trust myself with what's inside. The key hangs around my neck, tucked under my sweater, warm against my skin. It's been there all evening, heavier than it should be. I glance back toward the living room, toward the phone. Still silent. Still waiting. I tell myself I won't open the door. Not yet. But my hand moves anyway, fingers closing around the key like they've made this decision before my mind could catch up. The lock clicks softly. Too softly. The sound slides straight into my chest. The room smells like paper and old wood and something faintly metallic. Regret has a smell, you know. Smells like this. I don't turn on the overhead light. I don't deserve that kind of clarity. I let the candlelight spill in, carving the room into pieces: desk, chair, shelf, floor. The diary is still where I left it. Top drawer. Third stack. I know without looking. I always know. I sit in the chair, the same one I sat in years ago, the night the promise was made. The chair creaks under me, protesting like it remembers too. I open the drawer. My hands shake worse now. Age isn't the reason. Guilt is. Before I open the diary, I pause. My ear tilts toward the hallway. Footsteps. Slow. Measured. I hold my breath. One step, then nothing. My heart doesn't slow down. It never does when it starts like this. I tell myself I'm alone. I've told myself that for years. The diary opens easily, as if it's been waiting. The first page isn't the beginning. I never read in order. I flip until I find the date that's been burning in my mind all day. December 31st. The ink is darker there, pressed harder into the page. I read it out loud. My voice sounds younger in the words, angrier. I talk about fear. About a mistake that couldn't be undone. About a door that shouldn't have been closed but was. There's a name written again and again, sometimes crossed out, sometimes circled like a prayer. That name belongs to the voice I'm waiting to hear on the phone. The diary mentions a call. A future call. If you're still alive, I wrote. If you still remember. I swallow hard when I reach that line. I remember everything. That's the problem. A noise behind me makes me jump. The candle flickers violently, throwing shadows that slam into the walls. I turn too fast, dizzy, heart racing. Nothing. Just the door, slightly more open than it was before. I didn't leave it like that. I stand, knees weak, and close it gently, carefully, like I'm tucking in a sleeping child. I lock it again. The click echoes too loudly in the small space. When I step back into the hallway, the air feels colder. The phone. I hurry back, faster than I should, one hand on the wall to steady myself. The phone is still where I left it. Dark. Silent. No missed calls. I laugh softly, but it breaks in the middle, turns into something closer to a sob. 11:49. 11 minutes. I sit down hard, gripping the edge of the table. My eyes keep drifting to the old photograph. I finally pick it up. My thumb traces the edge where someone's face has been cut out. Not torn. Cut. Cleanly. Intentionally. That wasn't my doing. I swear it wasn't. But I never put the face back either. The rain stops suddenly like someone turned it off. The quiet that follows is worse. In the distance, fireworks begin to test the sky, small pops like nervous thoughts. People are getting ready to celebrate. They don't know what's at stake in this room. The phone buzzes. Not a ring. Just a vibration. I gasp so sharply it hurts. My hands fumble as I grab it. A voicemail notification. My heart sinks even as hope claws at it. I don't press play. Not yet. Because I recognize the number. And if I listen now before midnight, I might not be able to undo what comes next. I stare at the voicemail notification like it's staring back at me. My thumb hovers frozen, because pressing play feels heavier than lifting a coffin lid. I know that number. I memorized it the way you memorize a prayer you hope you'll never need. Same digits. Same silence behind them. 11:52. 8 minutes. I set the phone down again gently like it might scream if I move too fast. My chest tightens, each breath shallow and careful. I keep talking to you because if I stop, I might listen to the wrong thing. Or worse, I might listen to nothing at all. You see, a voicemail before midnight is different from a call before midnight. A voicemail means hesitation. A voicemail means they couldn't say it live. And the promise wasn't, "I'll leave you a message." It was, "I'll call." The house groans softly, settling into itself. Or maybe shifting. Oldwood makes excuses like that. I rub my arms, suddenly cold, and that's when I hear it again. A whisper. Not words. Just breath close to my ear, like someone testing if I'm awake. I turn sharply. Who's there? My voice cracks. It sounds too loud, too fragile. Nothing answers. I hate how easily fear still finds me. I've lived through enough years to earn some courage, but courage doesn't help when the past decides to walk around your living room. My eyes drift to the hallway again, to the thin line of darkness under the locked room door. I swear it's wider than before. I stand slowly, every movement measured. I don't go to the door. I go to the bookshelf instead because that feels safer, because I can pretend I'm doing something normal. My fingers trail across old spines until they stop on a small box tucked behind them. I didn't put it there. I know I didn't. The box is wooden, worn smooth at the edges. No lock. Just a lid that lifts too easily. Inside are cassette tapes. Labeled in a familiar handwriting. Dates. My breath catches when I see one marked December 31st. No year. Just the date. Like it was meant to repeat forever. I don't own a cassette player anymore. Or at least I didn't think I did. A faint clicking sound comes from the hallway. Rhythmic. Mechanical. My stomach drops. That sound belongs to something I shoved deep into a closet years ago. Something I told myself I'd thrown out. The tape recorder. My feet move before my fear can stop them. The hallway feels narrower now, walls pressing in like ribs. Each step echoes too much. I reach the closet, my hands already shaking, and pull the door open. There it is. On the floor. Plugged in. The red light glowing. Recording. I don't remember turning it on. I don't remember taking it out. I don't remember anything after the night I swore never to listen to it again. Stop. I whisper like it might hear me. Doesn't. The reels spin slowly, capturing every sound, my breathing, the tick of the clock, the distant fireworks testing their timing. Someone wanted this moment saved. Someone wanted proof. I reach for it, fingers brushing the plastic, when a sound comes through the tiny speaker. A voice. Thin. Warped by age and tape. My own. Younger. Angrier. Crying. I didn't mean to lock the door, the voice says. I just needed time. I just needed you to stop yelling. My knees buckle. I sink to the floor, the recorder still running. I remember this now. Too clearly. The argument. The fear. The way the door slammed harder than I expected. The way silence followed, thick and wrong. Another voice joins the tape. Deeper. Pleading. Open it, the voice says. Please. I can't breathe. I cover my mouth to keep from screaming. Tears blur my vision. The recorder keeps going, indifferent to my pain. It always was. The tape crackles. A loud thud. Then nothing but muffled sounds. Scratching. Knocking. Fading. I lunge forward and hit stop. The silence afterward is violent. I curl in on myself, rocking slightly the way I used to when the nights got too long. I never told anyone this part. I never told the police. I told them the door was stuck. I told them I tried everything. I told them I found them too late. Some lies grow old with you. They wrinkle. They ache. The phone rings. A real ring this time. Sharp. Loud. Alive. I gasp, scrambling to my feet, nearly dropping it as I answer. Hello. My voice barely works. For a moment there's only static. My heart hammers so hard I'm sure you can hear it through the screen. Then a breath. Familiar. Impossible. I told you I'd call, the voice says softly. Before the year ends. My blood turns to ice. That's not possible, I whisper. You. I know what you think, the voice interrupts. Calm. Certain. But I never stopped waiting either. My eyes dart to the locked room. The tape recorder. The diary. The shadows pooling at the edges of the room. Where are you? I ask. There's a pause. A smile in the silence. I'm closer than I've ever been, the voice says. And when midnight comes, you're finally going to open the door. The line goes dead. The clock reads 11:57. 3 minutes left. 3 minutes feels shorter than a heartbeat when fear is counting with you. I stand there clutching the phone, my whole body vibrating, staring at the blank screen as if it might start talking again on its own. My ears ring from the sudden quiet. That voice, soft, certain, impossible, still lingers in the air like breath on cold glass. I told myself for years that dead people don't make promises. The clock ticks. 11:58. I force myself to move. If I stay frozen, whatever is happening will happen without me. I've spent too much of my life letting things happen without me. I walk back to the table and sit down slowly, deliberately, like I'm teaching my body how to behave. My hands won't stop shaking. I fold them together, pressing bone into bone, grounding myself in the fact that I'm still here. Still breathing. You heard it too. I whisper to you, even though I know you can't answer. I'm not imagining this. The candle sputters, then steadies. Its flame leans toward the hallway, like it's curious. Like it wants me to follow. I think about the diary again, about the pages I didn't read. About the truth I only skimmed. Maybe the truth doesn't like being skimmed. I stand and go to the locked room for the third time tonight. The key feels hot against my chest now, like it's been waiting to be used. When I unlock the door, it opens wider than before, without resistance. That scares me more than if it had fought back. Inside, the air feels wrong. Heavy. Pressurized. Like a storm trapped indoors. I step in, holding the candle out in front of me. The desk. The chair. The shelf. Everything is where it should be, except the diary. It's open now, lying flat on the desk, pages fluttering slightly even though there's no breeze. Someone has turned the pages. I approach slowly, every instinct screaming to run, but my feet refuse. The open page isn't the one I read earlier. This one is written in a different ink, darker, sharper. The handwriting is still mine. But the words feel older than I am. You promised, the page says. You promised to listen. My throat tightens. I flip the page, my fingers leaving faint smudges of candle wax on the paper. Another entry. Another date. Always December 31st. Over and over again like a loop. Then I see something that makes my stomach drop. A line I don't remember writing. If you're hearing my voice again, it means I failed. I step back, bumping into the chair. It scrapes loudly across the floor, the sound echoing like a scream. I wait for something to answer it. Something does. A knock. Not on the front door. On the door behind me. From the inside. My breath disappears. I turn slowly, my heart slamming against my ribs so hard it hurts. The door trembles once. Twice. Not violently. Politely. Like whoever is knocking expects to be let out. I'm sorry. I whisper before I can stop myself. I don't know who I'm apologizing to anymore. Maybe to the voice on the phone. Maybe to the younger version of me trapped in that tape recorder. Maybe to the shadow pressed against the door. The knock comes again. Closer. Louder. The phone in my hand vibrates. I look down, tears blurring my vision. Another call. Same number. I can't. I sob into the receiver. I can't do this again. You already are, the voice says gently. You just don't remember finishing it. The knocking stops. The silence that follows is unbearable. Open the door. The voice continues. The year can't end until you do. I stare at the handle. My hand moves toward it, slow and shaking. Every memory floods back at once. The argument, the fear, the sound of scratching turning into nothing. I never opened it back then. I told myself it was too late. I told myself I was protecting myself. The clock chimes once. 11:59. 1 minute. I waited. The voice says softer now. I waited in the dark. I waited for you to remember who you were. My fingers close around the handle. I'm here now, I whisper. I'm listening. The candle flickers violently, shadows stretching and twisting across the walls. For a moment, I swear I see a shape behind the door. A familiar outline. A face I've only seen in photographs and dreams. Good, the voice says. Because when this door opens, you're finally going to hear the truth. The clock begins its final countdown. 10 seconds. My hand turns the handle, and the door starts to open. The door opens with a sound like a long-held breath finally escaping. Not a creak, not a snap, just air moving slow and heavy, as if the room itself is relieved. I stand frozen, my hand still on the handle, afraid that if I let go, whatever is happening will become real in a way I can't survive. The room beyond the door is darker than the rest of the house, darker than it should be. My candlelight pushes into it cautiously, revealing corners first, then shapes. A mattress on the floor. A small table. The walls scratched with faint, desperate lines I remember pretending were nothing. The smell hits me last, stale, closed off like time trapped in a box. There's no body. That's the first thing I notice. My knees almost give out with relief, so sharp it hurts. I laugh once, breathless, hysterical. You're not here, I whisper. You're not. The laugh dies in my throat, because the room isn't empty. There's a chair facing the wall, and in the wall at eye level is a mirror. Old, clouded, the kind that doesn't show you everything, even when you're standing right in front of it. Someone is sitting in the chair. No, someone was sitting in the chair. It's empty now, but the cushion is still indented. Warm. I feel it without touching it. My heart starts racing again, faster than before, because this isn't relief. This is preparation. The phone in my hand buzzes softly, like it doesn't want to startle me. The call is still connected. The voice is still there, breathing quietly, listening to me discover what I avoided for years. I didn't die in this room, the voice says. Not the way you think. I step inside despite every instinct screaming no. The door swings shut behind me with a gentle click that sounds final. I spin around, grab for the handle. It doesn't move. Locked. Again. No, I whisper. Not again. Please. I opened it. I did what you wanted. You opened the wrong door, the voice says calmly. This room was never my prison. It was yours. The candlelight flickers across the mirror. I don't want to look at it, but I can't stop myself. My reflection stares back, older, pale, eyes wide with fear. For a moment, that's all I see. Then the reflection moves when I don't. My reflected mouth opens slowly, carefully. You left me, it says, but the words don't come from my lips. They come from the phone. Perfectly timed. Perfectly synced. I stumble back, bumping into the mattress. My legs give out and I sit hard, my breath coming in ragged gasps. This isn't real. I say over and over like a spell. This isn't real. The reflection tilts its head. You locked the door, it says. You waited. You listened to the knocking until it stopped. And then you told yourself a story you could live with. The mirror ripples just slightly like disturbed water. Another face begins to form beside mine. Younger. Familiar. Eyes full of fear, then anger, then something worse, disappointment. I didn't stop waiting, the second face says. Even after the breathing stopped. Tears stream down my face. I press my palms against my ears, but the words don't need sound to reach me. They live inside my bones. I remember now, standing outside the door, my hand on the handle, telling myself I'd open it in one more minute, one more breath, one more second. Midnight came, and I stayed where I was. The clock chimes outside the room. Once. Loud. Final. Midnight. The phone crackles. The voice grows warmer, almost kind. This is the part you never finished, it says. This is the call you were always waiting for. The mirror clears suddenly. The second face fades. Only mine remains, but it looks different now. Calmer. Emptier. Say it, The voice urges. Say what you did. My chest tightens until I think my heart will break. I look at myself and finally stop looking away. I chose myself, I whisper. I chose not to open the door. The room exhales. The door unlocks behind me with a soft click. The phone goes silent. I sit there for a long time, long after the candle burns low, long after the fireworks outside explode into celebration I'm not part of. When I finally stand and step out of the room, the house feels lighter, emptier, like something has left. But as I set the phone down on the table, I notice something that makes my blood run cold. A missed call. Time-stamped 1 minute after midnight. From the same number. And this time, there's no voicemail at all. I stare at the missed call until the numbers blur. 1 minute after midnight. 1 minute late. Or 1 minute early, depending on how you look at forgiveness. My throat tightens because suddenly I don't know which side of the year I'm standing on anymore. The house is quiet again, but it's not the same quiet as before. This one feels watchful, patient. I sit down slowly, like the floor might disappear if I move too fast. The candle has burned low, wax spilling over the edge like time melting away. Outside, fireworks are exploding in full celebration now. Cheers, laughter, new beginnings. All of it feels rude. All of it feels like it's happening in another world. I pick up the phone again. The screen is cold under my fingers. No voicemail. No message. Just proof that something reached out once more, after I told the truth, after I said the words I buried for decades. I should feel relief. I should feel free. Instead I feel unfinished. You're still here. I whisper, not sure who I'm talking to. The house answers with a faint creak from the hallway. I flinch. Old habits die hard. Fear remembers faster than hope. I stand and walk back toward the locked room, even though it isn't locked anymore. The door stands slightly open like it's pretending it was never part of anything terrible. Inside the air feels different. Cleaner. The mirror is just a mirror now. No ripples. No extra faces. Just me. Wrinkled. Tired. Real. The diary is still open on the desk, but the page has changed again. New ink. Wet ink. My heart pounds as I step closer. I didn't write this. I know I didn't. It wasn't forgiveness I wanted, the words say. It was to be remembered correctly. My hands tremble as I trace the letters. Remembered correctly. That phrase cuts deeper than any accusation. For years I remembered myself as someone who tried. Someone who meant well. Someone who was unlucky. But tonight stripped all that away. I flip the page. Another message waits. You told them I stopped knocking. I gasp. My knees weaken and I grip the desk to steady myself. I remember the statements. The careful words. The way I softened the truth until it fit inside other people's comfort. I told them the knocking faded. I told them it stopped suddenly. I never said I heard it slow down. I never said I counted the spaces between each knock. I close my eyes. You let time make the choice, I whisper. I know. The diary doesn't answer, but the silence does. It presses in on me, heavy and intimate like a hand on my shoulder. I don't shrug it off this time. A soft sound comes from behind me. Footsteps. Real ones. Not imagined. Not whispered by memory. These are solid, uneven, moving across the cracked floorboard in the hallway. My heart leaps into my throat. I turn slowly, expecting terror, expecting punishment. Instead I see the front door. It's open. Cold night air pours into the house, carrying the distant smell of fireworks and wet pavement. For a moment I just stare, confused. I know I locked it earlier. I always lock it. That's another habit I never broke. Someone is standing in the doorway. Not a shadow. Not a reflection. Person. My breath catches painfully. The light from outside spills around their shape, and I can't see their face clearly at first. Only their posture. Familiar. Careful. Like someone afraid of startling me. I didn't know if you'd still be awake, the voice says. It's older than I remember. Rougher. But unmistakably human. I take one step forward. Then another. My legs feel weak like they're carrying years instead of bones. You called, I whisper. After midnight. The figure nods slowly. I tried before. I couldn't get through. Then, I waited. Waited. That word. I didn't know what to say. The voice continues. I didn't know if you'd want to hear from me. After everything. The porch light flickers on, revealing a face lined with age and regret. Not the face from the mirror. Not the voice from the tape. Someone real. Someone living. Someone who has carried the same night in their chest for just as long as I have. I remembered the promise. They say quietly. I remembered you. Tears spill freely now. I don't wipe them away. I'm done hiding from wet things. From broken things. Come in. I say, my voice barely working. Please. They hesitate just for a second. And in that second, I realize something terrifying and beautiful. This time the door is open. And I am not afraid to keep it that way. They step inside slowly, like they're afraid the house might reject them. I watch their shoes cross the threshold, and something inside me loosens that I didn't know was still clenched. The door stays open behind them, cold air curling around our ankles, carrying the sound of distant cheers. Midnight has already passed. The world has moved on. But here time is finally listening. I wasn't sure you'd recognize me, they say. I let out a small broken laugh. I recognized your silence long before I recognized your face. We stand there, two old people surrounded by younger ghosts. The candle on the table flickers, then steadies like it approves of this moment. I gesture for them to sit, and they do carefully, as if afraid the chair might disappear. For a moment neither of us speaks. Words feel dangerous. Truth feels heavy. I thought you were gone, I say at last. I thought that night ended everything. They nod slowly. It ended something. But it didn't end me. I close my eyes and the house exhales again. The tape recorder is silent now. The diary doesn't turn its pages. The mirror reflects only what's real. I realize something then that makes my chest ache. Those things weren't here to punish me. They were here to bring me to this exact second. I waited for your call, I whisper. Every year. I know, they say softly. I felt it. I didn't call because I thought you'd be better without hearing my voice. You were wrong, I reply. I was never better. I was just quieter. We sit in that truth, letting it breathe between us. Outside, fireworks crack and bloom, bright enough to paint the walls with color through the open door. Red, gold, blue. Each burst feels like a heartbeat finally allowed to be loud. I didn't come to forgive you, they say carefully. And I didn't come to accuse you either. I nod. Then why did you come? They look at me, really look at me, and I see something familiar in their eyes. Waiting. The same waiting I carried. Because I was tired of being the voice in your house, they say. I wanted to be a person again. The words hit me harder than any ghost ever could. I reach for their hand before fear can stop me. Their skin is warm. Solid. Alive. I remembered you as someone who left, I admit. But the truth is, I'm the one who stayed. They squeeze my hand gently. And tonight you opened the door. We sit there a long time. Long enough for the fireworks to fade. Long enough for the candle to burn out on its own. When the flame dies, the room doesn't plunge into darkness. Moonlight fills the space instead, soft and forgiving. I should tell you something, they say. About the call. I nod, my heart steady now. Ready. I called before midnight, they continue. Over and over. The line wouldn't connect. I thought maybe the promise wasn't meant to be kept. My breath catches. And after. I waited, they say. 1 minute. Just one. Because I needed to know if you'd finally said it out loud. I look down at the phone on the table. The missed call. The 1 minute after midnight. Not too late. Not too early. Right on time. I did, I say. I finally said it. They smile sadly. I know. We stand together and walk to the doorway of the locked room, no, the open room now. I look inside one last time. The mattress is gone. The scratches are gone. The room is just a room. Empty in the way empty rooms are supposed to be. Will you stay? I ask, my voice trembling again but softer now. Not forever. Just for tea. For talking. For this year. They nod. I'd like that. I close the front door gently, not out of fear but out of choice. The house feels different now. Not haunted. Remembering. And as we sit together at the table, I realize something I want you to hear clearly. The call I was waiting for wasn't to bring someone back from the past. It was to bring me back to myself. And if you're listening to this, if you're waiting for a call, a word, a moment to open a door you've kept shut too long, please don't wait until the year ends. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is answer after midnight.